Back to BLACKSITE tonight. President Trump wins in his civil case. New York State Appeals Court has revoked his $500 million penalty. First, I would like for you to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, hit that notification button, but also comment on this video. This is bad news for Letitia James, the New York State Attorney General. President Trump has won his appeal in his civil fraud case, which wipes out his $500 million verdict. President Trump is on a winning streak, and Letitia James is getting ready to get indicted by the federal government by mortgage fraud. This case went to appeals court, and many of the justices who happen to be liberal in New York saw that this penalty was not warranted for President Trump. And now that the verdict has come through and it has been wiped out, President Trump is going to be celebrated. And now the hunter has become hunted. Now that Trump and the DOJ is hunting Letitia James for mortgage fraud and his civil rights violation, she's going to be in some serious trouble. Because not only are the people of New York State turning against Letitia James, now the American people will turn against her, knowing that an appeals court has said, hey, no mas. You went after this man illegally. You found the jury. You found the judge that you knew would convict President Trump. But now the tide is turning. It's turning against Letitia James. It's turning against Fani Willis. It's going to turn against Jack Smith. It's going to turn against Brennan. It's going to turn against Comey, Clapper, and the rest of that crew over there who went after President Trump illegally. This is what happens when you set out in 2018 and Letitia James said she wasn't there to protect the people of New York. The first thing she said is that I'm going after Donald Trump. And he was the president of the United States. You didn't care how you got him. You used the old mantra of the Communist Party who said, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. That's what Letitia James did. And now she's going to have to pay not only with her being indicted, but possibly being found guilty and possibly being sent to jail under federal crimes. And we know that the federal government has between a 95 and 100% guilty rate when it comes to prosecuting crimes. We knew when these crimes all went down, they were out by the Biden Justice Department to finally get President Trump so he could not run for president in 2024. We know what this was all about. And also, even if he ran, that the American people would turn their backs on President Trump. But that did not happen. This is a sad day for not only Letitia James, but all the people who worked in that stratosphere trying to get President Trump. Because now President Trump has law enforcement on his side. Now he's going to have a majority of the American people on his side. That this was all for them to get rid of President Trump. Everything from the Mar-a-Lago indictment raid all the way to these $500 million civil law cases that now have been distinguished by the New York Federal Appeals Court, which is liberal. New York State, these courts is liberal as hell. So they had enough of Letitia James. Now, what is she going to say? She's going to say Trump's guilty. She's going to say, well, I don't know. Because the heat is on her now. Now her back is up against the wall. Now that Pam Bondi and Eric Martin is after her, she's in some serious trouble. But she did this as a crash test dummy for the Democrat Party. She looks like a complete damn fool. Now she's got to take the heat. For what? For being a Democrat's Democrat. You notice none of these white attorney generals went down or put their neck out against Trump. You notice Trump isn't trying to indict them. He's going after all the people who came after him. Lieutenant James, Fannie Willis, Jasmine Crockett, Hillary Clinton, James Clapper, James Comey, Brennan, all those people who came together and tried to destroy him. He has his Justice Department going after them. Like I said, he's the hunter and they're the hunted. And they know right now they all are getting lawyered up because Trump is coming. He's got the wind at his back now. No more lawfare. This is Trump fair coming after these cats. And hey, this is what they want. That old saying in the wire. You gotta get the king. If you go for the king, you best not miss. And they missed the king. And now the king is coming back full throttle after the Democrat Party, after the crash test dummies in the Democrat Party. Now they got to deal with Trump. She made a huge mistake, and now she has to live with it. This looks bad for the Democrat Party. Everything they threw at Trump has backfired. And now they have to live with this nonsense. This is complete stupidity. You know it, and I know it. And Trump is celebrating. His whole crew, they're gonna say, I told you so. They are all celebrating over at the White House. Now, oh yeah, he about ready to have a news conference. You know he have a news conference every day, and he can't stand Lieutenant James. I could see him right now on Truth Social putting that fire to the torch on Lieutenant James and all those Democrats who tried to take him down. This is what you get, like I said, for being a crash test dummy. I want to thank you for listening to BLACKSITE. Hope you subscribe to this channel, smash that like button. I'd love to hear your quick comment on what happened with the civil fraud case with Trump and the $500,000 being distinguished.